All right, we are finally here. It is time to learn the vocal exercises that I have depended upon for all my years of professional performance and instruction. So these have been redefined and repolished over years of experience. So you can trust that these are, as long as you understand the information properly, that these are going to be really useful in continuing to develop your voice. And there are a wide variety of variations that you can use these exercises. You are not tied to doing them exactly as I do them in this video. However, if you are a beginner that struggles with pitch and rhythm, I encourage you to model as much as you possibly can what I do exactly. Now, if you have a higher voice, say that you are a female singer, you will want to sing an octave higher than what I am singing. And if you want a definition of what that is, go to your packet to figure out what that is, and feel free to study that outside of this video tutorial. So, with all that said, one thing I want to stress before we do these exercises: all of these exercises are designed to do many things, but this is one of the important things that it does. It stresses vowels being greater than consonants. What do I mean by that? The harmonic value of your voice should be invested into your vowels rather than your consonants. Your consonants, they still play a role and can play a larger role depending on the style of music. However, the harmonic value of your voice is in your vowels. The sound that travels into the room, up into your face, what you amplify with your instrument are your vowels. So, for example, you do not want to sing in a way that emphasizes the consonants too much. If I talked in a way that the consonants were emphasized too much, it would sound like this. And you can hear that it's really hard to understand, like it sounds weird. It sounds very strange. And especially if I'm trying to sing in high pitches, it's going to be very hard to do because everything's moving so fast. That was probably a bit annoying to listen to because of the lack of vowel modification that was occurring there. You want to stretch on the vowels. You're probably going to stretch on the vowels more than what feels natural to you. That is normal. We're trying to find your new normal and get you comfortable with opening up. And if you struggle with opening up too much, this is designed to bring you back and polish off what you're doing so that way you can find yourself in a healthy balance and spectrum. So, knowing that vowels are dominant over consonants and understanding the framework that I want you to have going into these exercises, let us go ahead and begin. All right, it is time to dive into the vocal exercises. So, we're going to start with the exercise that I assign to my students on a regular basis at the very first moment that they make noise with their voice. So, I like to call it the vowel modification exercise, or otherwise known as E-A-R-O. There are all kinds of variations that you can use, all kinds of registers and blending that you can use. So, we're going to go through a few of those variations here in this tutorial. So, the way I'm going to format it, I want you to match my pitch as best as you possibly can. If you are a singer that has a lower tone, either bass or tenor, match with me as best as you can. If you are an alto or a soprano, make sure that you are singing an octave higher than what I am singing in. For definitions on those terms, please refer to your vocal blueprint packet. So here we go. I'm going to sing E-A-R-O on varying pitches in varying registers and describe that and expect you to do the same. So I will demonstrate and then I want you to repeat. So here we go. This is the first pitch. 1, 2, 3, and E-A-I-O-U. Your turn, E-A-I-O-U. Up higher, E-A-I-O-U. Your turn, E-A-I-O-U. Going up in head voice, E-A-I-O-U. Your turn, E-A-I-O-U. E-A-I-O-U. Your turn, E-A-I-O-U. Going down lower, E-A-I-O-U. Your turn, E-A-I-O-U. Going down low, E-A-I-O-U. Your turn, E-A-I-O-U. Back up to the beginning note, E-A-I-O-U. Your turn, E-A-I-O-U. Now, great job, by the way. Those variations are common. You'll usually go in your chest voice and your head voice. It is rare that you'll need to go into up and into your falsetto or into your fry. So doing that exercise between your chest voice and your head voice and blending between the two, even in a speaking tone, E-A-I-O-U or E-A-I-O-U, those are also beneficial to warming up your voice. Now, some basic principles. Teeth are exposed, as we had discussed in the anatomy section. The tongue is anchored, ow, E-A-O, throughout. The muscles in the face are raising if it's high, E-A-O, or relaxing when it's low, E-A-O. So you can see that all the things that we had discussed previously are in play when you do this exercise. So feel free to repeat this section if you feel that you need to get more out of your warm-up with this specific exercise. So I encourage you to rewind and fast forward throughout this entire process, actually, and to use this as much as you see fit within reason. So given that, let's move on to the rest of the exercises, which most of these, with the exception of the scale exercises, have to do with sliding. Why do I love slide exercises so much? The reason why I like exercises that involve sliding up and down in pitch so much is because of how beneficial it is for the flexibility and movement of your larynx. As you remember from previous sections, we talked about how the larynx moves up and down because of other things that are happening around it. When we do slide exercises, we are painting a pitch spectrum, as we had discussed before. We are exercising the pitch spectrum by doing that. So even though sliding in music might not necessarily be the most musical thing, it is physically immensely beneficial. And we're going to start with that with the humming exercise. So I will demonstrate, you repeat. We're going to start in chest voice. Here we go. Nice and easy. Going into head voice now. Notice the activity that's happening down here. Very, very easy, very simple exercise to get you used to the placement of the soft palate, to get you used to the resonant spaces in the head without stressing the system. So, cool. If you have any questions whatsoever, refer to your packet. So, with that exercise in mind. Next, let's go ahead and do the shoo exercise, which can be done in either falsetto or head voice. So try this to the best of your ability. For those of you who struggle with head voice, I would actually wait to do this exercise specifically until you have mastered it with the humming exercise. So here we go. Shoo! 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 by the way, for those of you who have higher voices, you do not have to match an octave higher than what I'm doing right now. You can match with me or in a comfortable speaking tone. That's something that I do want to clarify for all of these slide exercises. So let's keep going here. Shoo! 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 As you can see, along with the humming exercise, this shoo exercise is designed for that placement, to exercise what's happening up here in the face. You are calibrating your facial muscles and the muscles in your entire body to react to each pitch along the spectrum, if that makes sense. So, given that, let's move on to the next slide exercise, which is probably the most ridiculous exercise that you're ever going to perform in your entire life, past, present, and future. So, my college choir director called this chewing. I like to call it the angry cat, because that's exactly what it sounds like. So, very important note regarding this exercise. Do not tense up the neck. If anything, the tension should stay here in the face. Do not let the neck muscles tense up during this exercise. So, here we go. And by the way, we will talk about the benefits of this exercise. There is a reason behind this, as hard as that is to believe. I know. We'll discuss it. So here we go. I'll demonstrate. Feel free to follow along and repeat after me. Here we go. Meow. 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 Yeah, you're probably laughing at home. Understandable. I laughed for 5 minutes straight the first time that I ever did that exercise. So you're not alone. But the benefit of that exercise is to get you used to the resonant cavities in your face, to get you used to the movement in an extreme fashion in your cheeks, your eyes, your forehead, to get you to lift with the yeah and keep that exposed and open. It's also beneficial for the soft palate, of course, and the anchoring of the tongue. So, as I said, all of these exercises have some type of reason behind them, and it's all building up to some exercises that are coming up here, which I will be going over with my guitar in the next section. All right, it is time to do some scale exercises and a few of my favorites, at least favorite variations. This will exercise your pitch and your rhythm as well as your phrasing. It really sums up everything that we have conditioned through the slide exercises up to this point. So obviously there are a wide variety of variations that you can use for scales. It's just that these two variations are my favorite and seem to be the most effective and yet the most simple at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Again, for alto and soprano singers, I encourage you to sing an octave up from where I'm singing. For those of you who are tenors and basses, I encourage you to follow along exactly as I sing. So here we go. We're going to do this on the count of 1, 2, 3, and we're going to start at this pitch. So start at a D, okay? And we're going to go fee li 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 li, and then switch to fa la 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 la, then move on to the next pitch. And we'll talk about some tips and ideas as far as fa la la is concerned, as far as the movement of the tongue. We'll cover that at the end of this scale exercise. But let's go ahead and get started. So here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and fee li 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 li, fa la 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 la, fee li 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 li, fa la 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 la, fee li 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 li, fa la 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 la. Let's increase the speed just a little bit to exercise the rhythm. 2, 1, 2, 3, and fee li 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 li, fa la 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 la, fee li 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 li. A little bit faster. Fa la 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 la, fee li little slower. Fa na 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 na. Two more. Fi li 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 li. Fa na 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 na. Let's go down the scale a little faster. Fi li 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 li. Fa na 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 na. Fi li 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 li. Fa na 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 na. Fi li 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 li. Slowing down. Fa na 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 na. Fi li 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 li. Fa na 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 na. Fi li 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 li. Fa la na 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 na. Fi li 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 li. Fa la 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 la. Last one. Fi li 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 li. Okay, so obviously for this section I did a variety of half steps, whole steps, speeds, the fact that I went into fi li li and fa la la alternating rather than doing each in a row, just to increase the variation in speed in the shortest amount of time possible for the sake of this tutorial. Now, there are all kinds of resources online to find piano tracks of scales going up and down. Type in the vocal range that you have, research what your vocal range is in your free time, and use the fi li li and fa la la phonation in order to exercise that with the scales that you find online, because it doesn't just have to be fi li 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 li. It can be fi li 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 li, or as complicated or simple as you want it to be. It can even be fi li 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 or fa la 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 la, whatever it might be. So, but what I've presented here in today's video tutorial is certainly useful, especially if you are just getting started. So, now, the thing I would like to discuss about fa la la is that I see a lot of students go fa la 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 la. Their jaw and their tongue move together. I want you to separate the two with this simple exercise. You can do this on pitch or just in your speaking voice. Fa la la. Flip the tip of your tongue off the top of your top row of teeth. Fa la la. If you want to slow it down even further, fa la. So if you want to do that together with me, let's go ahead and try that. 1, 2, 3, and fa la, and fa la. Now try fa la la. Your turn. Fa la la. Again. Fa la la. Again. Fa la la. Again. Fa la la. Go. Fa la la. Increase it. Fa la 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 la. 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 Fa la la. Fa la la. Fa la. Fa la. So that's a good supplemental exercise that you can use to strengthen your tongue and get your jaw and tongue to move independently of each other. So that way your jaw can stay open and the most resonance can come from your voice. Okay, so we've learned about the scale exercises, and hopefully that proved useful in learning a little bit more about pitch and rhythm and applying what we've already learned about the anatomy and the vowel spectrum and the pitch spectrum and all of the other terms that I've been using throughout this entire process. We are now going to do an exercise that is one of my favorites, and in a pinch, if I'm in a situation where I don't have a lot of time to warm up, especially for a Small Town Titans show, or for any show for that matter that requires a lot of energy in singing, this is the exercise that I depend upon the most. You are going to slide up and down in pitch on so and si, either in your chest voice and in your head voice, or in your head voice rather. And the important thing to keep in mind is that the slide from point A to point B, the slide from one note to the other, is the most important thing to keep in mind, because it's going to engage your core in the same way that it engages your face, in the same way that it engages your pitch. All of them are going to be connected throughout this entire exercise, which is another immense benefit to slide exercises. It connects everything. It establishes a strong connection between all of the aspects, what you hear and how you move. So, without further ado, this is how it goes. For the purposes of this, video, we're going to be doing it in a speaking tone that is comfortable for you, the unique viewer and student. I would do it on a piano, I would do it on a guitar. However, I would only do that if you were actually in the room with me. So it's going to be up to you and your responsibility to do what's within your comfort zone, because I'm going to go to quite an extreme here. And I don't expect you to do this unless you've had quite a bit of experience already studying with somebody else, or professional experience in the field. So keep that in mind. Beginners beware, and use your common sense. So here we go. So, in chest voice. And there might be a little bit of hiccups and a little bit of cracking here and there. That is completely normal. As long as you don't feel the need to cough and don't feel any tension here, that is normal. Allow it to occur. Notice how fluid my movement is during this exercise as well, swaying back and forth, using my hands. It's very important that you do that to facilitate everything being connected. Let's do C in head voice. C. Again, C. One more. C. So, those are the slide exercises that I depend upon the most in a pinch. But, of course, all the other slide exercises in an optimal setting should be practiced in order to get the most out of your warm-up. So, with that said, I hope that all makes sense. I hope that you've enjoyed all of these vocal exercises up to this point and that they prove beneficial in your practice. So given that, we can now discuss some important notes to consider before we move on to the next section. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. I know that some of those exercises were probably very strange and quite goofy, but obviously you understand that there is a reason behind every single vocal exercise that we had demonstrated just now. So, given that, the one thing that I do want to encourage you to do is to experiment with all of those vocal exercises. Obviously, some of them are going to be better suited for a different register and blend in your voice. However, I trust you to use your common sense and try different things with those exercises, as long as those basic principles, the basic principle, rather, of the exercise, of each exercise, is kept in mind as you're doing so. Cool. Now it's time to move on to the upper floor.